Happy Thursday. Hello, everybody. It
Hello.
is a glorious Thursday afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from all over the globe. We are so excited to be here and I'm excited to be here with Karis and Allie. Hello, ladies. Gorgeous ladies.
Hi.
Let me just say, I'm just going to brag a little bit on these two because these two are amazing. Amazing women and women of God, not just women of God, but just all around wonderful ladies. And so I hope that those of you that have been with us for quite a while, that you see how amazing these two ladies are. And so I love them. They're my friends. They're my colleagues, they're people I work with, they're just, I love being with them and around them. And so make sure you just give a little clap emoji for Karis and Allie down there.
We clap for you, Megan, as well.
Yeah.
I really hope it comes across on these broadcasts. Like, we genuinely are family. Like, we are, like, beyond just broadcasting and everything. Like, you know, sometimes you see things and you're like, are they actually pals in real life, or are they just, you know, putting it on? We genuinely are. We love to spend time with one another. We love to be in each other's houses and eat dinner and all that kind of stuff. And it really is the glory of doing, you know, as Emma does, do life together. But we really are. And I think that's something that we hope that you guys feel like you're part of this and you feel like you're part of the family that we've created here, because rain or shine, like, regardless of the words that come out of our mouths, whether it was a good broadcast or it wasn't, or whatever goes on behind the scenes, you know, we just celebrate because it means that we just get to spend time together and love on Jesus together and talk to people all over the world. Like, what an honor and a blessing this is. And Megan, can I just say, is a wonder. For, you know, she leads this team so well, and you know, we honor you as well, Megan. You're just an absolute delight.
Oh, thank you,
And
Karis.
we thank the Lord that you made the decision to leave America and to come to Scotland, because we are better for it. Absolutely.
Cold Scotland.
It's freezing. I have a hot water bottle.
Karis has her water bottle.
So you might not see in the camera, but I am like cradling it down here.
When Allie is, for those of you that missed us a couple weeks ago, Allie is in process. She's in Glasgow, but she's currently staying with some friends temporarily because her house is getting worked on. But you said that you have just picked out a kitchen for your new place, which is exciting. How many ladies out there love a new kitchen? Yes.
I mean, we have a little bit of money out of what we sold for the last house, and so we're trying to renovate a full property on a very small budget. So it has been a little bit of a challenge, but today the electrician goes in and we get a whole new rewire for the whole house, which is amazing. And then this week also this next week the plasterer goes in and skims all of our walls. And the kitchen, we finalized the choices this morning, and so we're going for kind of like a dark slate kitchen. You know, it's like silk. It's not matte completely, but it's also not high gloss. And we're doing kind of like industrial handles on there, and we're going with like a white kind of marble top on it. And we were picking floors this morning as well. So it's all happening, and it's very exciting. We really just want to be in before Christmas, but yeah, I'm hopeful.
You will.
I'm hopeful we'll get there. Yeah, sure.
You will be in by Christmas.
Goodness me. Amy, we heard to say our kitchen has been remodeled for a year almost now.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez, by that point I'd be like, scrap it. I can't be bothered anymore.
Well, if you've been remodeling for a year, that must be a pretty amazing kitchen if you've been remodeling for a year. So make sure you
I know, it better be a good kitchen. It better be worth it. Jeez.
Lil is saying he finds himself, I don't know, hoping for someone special for Karis and Allie. Well, it'll be something, I think, for me, because I already have a husband. But
yes.
But I'll take the something.
Believe it or not, Allie is married.
Yes. And I'm married, but Karis, ladies, Karis is all free.
Yeah. If you have your sons at hand, send us pictures.
Why? How did we get here? We're talking about transformation. Why are we talking about my singleness?
You know, you can have a lineup of photos. We'll print them off. Anyway, let's move on, Megan.
Megan, take the
it's time to move on. Okay, so anyways, trying to get serious as always. So last we had a really amazing conversation and interview with Emma last Thursday. So if you missed it, make sure you go back and watch it. We had a real and raw conversation last week, and so yeah. So if you missed it, go back and watch it. And we are kind of just continuing a piece off that discussion today. So yeah, so we're just going to be talking about being transformed, what it looks like to, for us, a lot of this is our personal journey. I think it's a lot of what you ladies are going through. It's being in that process of being transformed. I don't think, how many people do you know have actually reached their end goal or their end of their calling or the end of their destiny and purpose? We're all in process still. And so we're just going to kind of base our discussion around that and being transformed and what it looks like. And so we were talking yesterday, Allie, I don't think you were in that conversation, but me and Karis and some people at our staff meeting yesterday, and we were talking about how that he is a God of seasons. And so what we want to talk about is kind of not dwelling on the past or what we did or what we were, who we were before in previous seasons, but what is God taking us to in the now season, right now? What is he doing? What is the process that he's taking with you? Some of you right now, this is a very difficult process. You're in testing, you're in wrestling with things. Some of you might feel like you're in a good place, and that you feel like God is really kind of just propelling you out. So we're probably all in different phases of the journey here. But really, so last week, Emma made a comment, and she was talking about how like our journey with the Lord should never be ease to ease, but glory to glory. And so when I was thinking about this and kind of looking back over my life, and kind of just a question I want to kind of just throw out there from the beginning is, when you look back over your life, looking at who you were before, where you were at before, doing what you did, ask yourself, could you go back to that season? Could you go back to that? And I hope that our answer would be no, because he is a God of seasons and he takes us from glory to glory. It's not ease to ease like what we were talking about last week. And so when I look back and think, could I go back to what I was doing before or who I was before? And my answer is no, because there is so much process and digging and transformation that has taken place over the years that now he has me in this now season. And so of course we don't want to deny what God did then, because who we are now has created that formation in us, and has built up to that point where we are now. But I could not go back to those seasons because God was doing a process then, now he's doing a different process now. And so I should look very different now than I did then because of the process that he is taking me through, or taking us through as a whole. And so so I hope that I've articulated that well, as far as this is a continual process of being transformed. Absolutely. And so I really felt like he was saying, even today, that we don't need more affirmation. We need transformation in our lives. We don't need more, come on, you can do this, da da da, kind of building you up, as who you are. We don't need more affirmation. We need transformation. And it's not just we need transformation, we need to accept, and that's the key word, accept the transformation and the process that he's taking us through right now. And so we have thoughts around that. And so Allie, Karis, jump in there. What is God showing you now? What is he telling you in your now season?
I think one thing to bat off of that, purely just like, this is a conversation I had quite recently with Kat, just like we were over the dinner table, and I was talking about a circumstance in my life, and this is us kind of being very transparent, because at the end of the day, like, the process part of transformation is not the most comfortable, and we don't need to preach that any longer. We've said it enough times that we're in that season, and we're finally at the kind of cusp of reformation and rebuilding. But at this point in our lives, and I was talking about a circumstance with Kat, and I was like, I'm trying really hard not to partner with disappointment, with what I thought was going to happen but didn't. And she just said to me, and it's so true, because this is where my prayers have been, allowing myself to be disappointed without partnering with disappointment. And I think there's a big difference between partnering with disappointment and allowing that to framework how God changes us and how he forms us and how he renews us, rather than saying, God, I am disappointed that didn't work out, and I'm disappointed that where I am at right now is not where I thought I would be, is not where I thought you wanted me to be. Things look different than I thought that they looked. And some people will be like, hallelujah that I look and I sound and I am different to who I thought I was going to be, because I know that this is better. But there is also space, and I really hope that you guys are hearing that there's space for you to come to God and say, God, I'm quite disappointed that happened, but I know that I am in the process of transformation, which means what you have for me is better. But I'm still going to allow myself to feel the emotions of the process and feel the emotions of what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. But I'm sure that there's something, and we know that he's a good God who will bring something better. But there needs to be a moment where we just say, and we can be honest with ourselves and with God, I'm disappointed, God, or I'm sad, or I'm grieving a dream that has died, and I thought that was a good dream, but in reality it wasn't. Or I'm dreaming the loss of that. I'm grieving the loss of that, or I'm hurting because of that. But all of that brings a new level and a new authenticity to our relationship with God in the transformation process, which doesn't just click your fingers and suddenly you're a new person, but allows yourself to be honest in the process with God.
Yeah. I think like that disappointment thought, Caris, is really it's really honest and amazing that you've even shared that. I had written down that laying down the journey uncouples us from disappointment. And I think that you're right in the fact that feeling disappointed is not a problem, but partnering or finding yourself actually in a partnership with disappointment is actually soul destroying. It's one of the worst things that you can find yourself as a part of. And so I really felt like God talking to me about the laying down of the journey and what that does. You know, we're talking about all of this stuff being a journey, being a process. And I actually heard the Spirit of the Lord saying, you are happy for me to declare where you are going, but you want to dictate how you get there. And I was taken aback by that, because I know in my life, Caris, I see it evidently on your life, Megan, I see it on your life. We have all very almost easily, even in the pain, been able to lay down our own dreams, our own ambitions, our own stuff. And it's like, okay, Jesus, I wanted to be a marine biologist and I wanted to be a pop star and I wanted to do both things at the same time. And at some point, before I understood how wrong it was to keep animals in cages, I wanted to be a dolphin trainer. And, you know, all of this stuff that I wanted for my life, I have absolutely nailed it, and I have let it go. I've opened my hands and I've laid it down before him, and almost patted myself on the back like, good job, Ali, you've done a really great thing there. And then I have allowed the Spirit of God to speak about where He wants me to go. And as people have prophesied over me destiny and dreams and all of the things that God has on His heart for me, I've been like, yes, yes, I'll take it. That's mine. That's mine. But I have wanted to get there the way that I want to get there.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
I was thinking about David, when he gets prophesied that he's going to be king, he gets anointed to be king, right? And you think to yourself, he's a little lad, he's thinking, yes, the Lord has spoken. I am going to be king. And all I can imagine is if somebody told me that I was going to be queen, right? I'd be like, oh, me and Lizzie are going to be best friends. And then, the rest of them, something's going to happen. And then Lizzie's going to say, Ali, you're the only person I trust to run this nation. And, I love you. And here is the mantle. And here is the anointing to rule in the nation. And that's how
Clarification, Lizzie is our queen.
Sorry.
As in Queen Elizabeth.
Oh,
Just
sorry.
so we can clarification for that.
I absolutely adore her. She's like literally one of my favorite humans. I'm like, I just call her little Lizzie. I'm like, wee Lizzie. So Lizzie is my best friend, and she's ordaining me to be the queen, and that's how I would imagine that it goes. So you got David. His dreams and his imagination on how he's going to get to be king are surely positive ones. And then you look at the journey that he had to travel to get there. Like, legit, people were trying to kill him. Like, he's had to, go and play his harp to, subdue the demons. And, there's a whole load of stuff in here that I think he would never have dreamed that this is how he would get to his destination of being king. And he had to bring himself down and bow to the way of the Lord, which was, we're going to journey this, and you're just going to have to trust me. And so he starts to walk forward, and on the journey, he transforms. He is transformed on the journey so that when he steps into that kingly role, he is fully prepared. He's fully the character that he's supposed to be. Like, God has had his way in his life. And I think that today, like what God is speaking to me about is, will you lay down the journey? Will you lay down the in-between the now and where I'm calling you to? Will you lay it down so that I can transform you on the way? And I hope that kind of resonates with some of you. If you feel like that today, it's a simple prayer. Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I have held on to this, that I have held on to my expectations for the journey that you want to take me on. And today I lay it down and I say, just one foot in front of the other, I'm following you.
Good.
And whatever it looks like, I'm here.
Good.
And I heard the Lord also say this just before I hand it on was, did you know that your search for shortcuts and your search for the easy road actually elongate your travel time?
Come on.
Ooh. And, I think that that's a biblical principle. I think if we look at the story of Moses and we look at where people have stepped out wrong and they were supposed to hit the promised land earlier, and actually what has happened is it was in their own time. They've tried to do it on their own and search for the shortcuts and go the easy route or the way that they think that they should go. And it elongates your travel time to your destiny. So just as you are processing that this morning, the journey is so key for your transformation, that you get there on time and that you also get there prepared to step into what God has for you.
Yeah, Ali, that's really, really good, Ali. It's a really good point to make, because a lot of times we do get trapped. You guys were talking about disappointment, and we do get trapped. We do get trapped in disappointment, and that alone keeps us, that causes delay. It's a trap of the enemy. And so, and we need to recognize it and deal with it when it comes, so that we don't partner with it. Because I think sometimes we do partner with it and we don't even realize it, because there's been so much buildup of disappointment that it becomes a partnering and we're not even aware of it. And so we need to recognize it. Go ahead. Yeah, Ali.
Only come when we have held on to things that weren't ours to hold.
Yes.
If we had actually been holding on to just Jesus, there wouldn't really be disappointment. And it's not to say that we're never to feel disappointment, because we're not always going to get it right. And so Caris is so right. We should be allowed to feel it, but it's the coupling with it in those moments when you find yourself unable to move on from it because you've actually held on to something so tight that the disappointment is soul destroying. That's where we have a problem.
You've just hit something there, Ali. Oh my goodness. Because what you're essentially saying is we've made that calling or our destiny an idol. And we have put our lives on serving that, serving our purpose, serving our destiny, getting ourselves to that word, because we make that the God that we worship rather than the one who gave it to us.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
That's where disappointment comes. Wow, that is such a word. We've so made our calling and our destiny an idol that everything that we do is, oh, I need to get myself there. I need to serve that purpose. Nah, God gave me the word. Therefore, he's the one that is meant to get me there. He's the one that has to transform me to fit me around that word. Not me fit that word and I try and adopt it onto my life.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Wow. Yes. That's so
and
good.
I think a big key off the back of that, Caris, is a key word here: entitlement. We need to let go of entitlement mentality.
Yes.
Because if we hang on to entitlement and say, well, that is mine, that is my word, I am entitled to that word, then what has happened is if that doesn't come when we want it to, then we are headed straight towards that door of disappointment. And we are going to be disappointed because we have held on and put an entitlement attached to ourselves on that. And so we have to let go of the entitlement of that is mine to keep, that is mine, because we will.
Entitlement culture within Christianity is rife. I mean, this is a little bit of a sidestep, but can we just talk about the sovereignty of God and how actually just because he is God, he is worthy? And how many times have you seen the entitlement culture in Christianity actually steal people's faith?
Yes.
When I am entitled to a miracle, when I am entitled to an answer of prayer, when I'm entitled to walk fully into this destiny that has been spoken over me, and when it doesn't happen, or when the answer to my prayer isn't what I wanted it to be, and when my miracle isn't what I wanted it to be, and then, oh, do I really believe in Jesus?
Yeah.
It's wild. It's rife in Christianity. And entitlement, I think, it's just poison.
Entitlement disengages transformation.
Yes,
absolutely.
When we're in a state of entitlement, there's no room or space to allow the Holy Spirit to take us through the process.
Yeah. And I think like the real evidence of your transformation is when you realize that you're not entitled to any of it.
Yeah.
And
and
then you move forward somewhere.
Come on, ladies. Come on. We are hitting something today.
I mean, this is kind of going back. If you guys didn't watch last week, we did an interview with Emma, and she interviewed me and Megan, and we kind of went to some very exposing places of our processes at the moment. And one of the things I was speaking about is God taking seriously my prayers, and when I was submitted in my prayers but not submitted in the process, just like Ali was saying. So when I say, God, okay, you've given me this, but I give it all, but then I outwork it and I don't give it all. How can I turn around and say, God, you didn't do what you said you were going to do? You didn't do what you said you were going to do. It's because I didn't let him. It's because I did not let him do what he called me to do. And this is, I mean, we thought we were going to go somewhere completely different today, but this is like, it's that lovely two-layered of like, we're okay to be disappointed about things that we thought were going to happen, but that is the difference between partnering with disappointment. And what God was really speaking to me about, he was speaking to me quite personally about my own calling and my own destiny, and how much I myself, and I'm speaking specifically as the word of prophet, but you guys can fill in the gap of what you know God has said over your life, that in the beginning word that he said over your life. You're called to evangelize, you're called to business, you're called to worship, you're called to anything God has said, or even you are a child of God, or even you are you're a king or you're a queen. You know, those kind of in the beginning words that God has spoken over you, that who you are, not just who you're called to be, but who you are. And I found myself really quite significantly wrestling with that call and wrestling with what God has said, who I am. And it's because I had received it from me and my trying to articulate me and my core being Charis, and then I received the call of prophet, and I tried to fit it into my life. I tried to form it into what my life is already formed to be. But in Jeremiah 1:5, God says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, or I chose you, and I set you apart, which means that in the beginning word was before our flesh was even created, before we even knew that we were in existence, before our brains started thinking, before we started dreaming, before we started making excuses to God about who we are, just like Jeremiah does. God, I'm too young and I can't speak. You know, I mean, he doesn't say can he, obviously, in the scripture, but he has this and that understanding that when we receive it from what we know of ourselves to be. But if we come to that understanding that God has called us, God has told us who we are, he transforms us around that of who we are. So rather than me trying to transform myself to get to the word that he's spoken over me, I recognize actually he spoke that in my beginning. He spoke that before I even existed, which means he's going to transform me so I look more like that in the beginning word. He's going to transform me into who Jesus is. So I think there's something that even that place of entitlement, and we're talking about entitlement, we have this idea that when God calls us to do something, that from that moment we have to step into it. But actually, God is, that's why he says, before I formed you. That's the first words he speaks to Jeremiah. You have that moment where you step to the in the beginning word, and he's saying, this is actually what I spoke to you before you even begun. So I know that you've had 20 years of life. I know you've had 30, 40, 50, 60 years of life thus far. But this is the word I spoke to you in the beginning. So I'm going to transform you, and I'm going to make you into who you are meant to be. And that's going to happen again and again and again and again until you look like Jesus, until you look like who you are meant to look like. And there has to be that moment where we say, God, we've been trying to grab a hold of whatever you said over our lives and then make it fit in what our lives already look like. Try and make that fit in my family, in my relationships, and this and that, rather than say, that's my in the beginning. It's time for my life to fit around what God has said that I'm meant to be doing, what God has said who I am, and not have a sense of entitlement to it. Because in reality, I now need to be transformed so I look like what he said I have to look like.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes that means that we have to learn the same lesson over and over and over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I was saying that earlier. When I was looking back, you know, over my life, you know, 20 years ago, that every season, come on, ladies, this is all of us, not just me. Every season that God took us through, every step of the process, there was a humbling element to it.
Absolutely.
Because and that humbling element always has to be there, because otherwise we would be in deep in pride and entitlement and all of those other things down the road. And yes, you're right, entitlement ties to pride, absolutely, Linnell, and so, or Michelle, whoever it was that said that. So that was really good. But yeah, so he's not swayed. He's not swayed by our age. He's just he's all into our character and building that character. And it doesn't matter how long that takes. And so, and I think that we can get to a point of frustration. You know, Karis talking, you know, we see, God sees us, we see ourselves this certain way, or we see, you know, I know I'm called to this, or I know that I'm supposed to be this in God. and we're not seeing the fruit of that. But to him, it's all about, well, I need to get you to, I need to take you through this process. I need to take you through these things until you get it before I can release the destiny and the fulfillment of it.
Yeah, and it's so fun, like, because none of us are in a state of like being in the, the last days type, of our lives. Like we're only just a bit there,
Yeah.
and it's fun to know that even in the short time that we've had on the earth, that the journey that we have been on has been a transforming journey. And that we're all different. And my favorite thing ever that Facebook does is that it brings up Facebook memories. Okay. Now, I have been on Facebook for 11 years or something. That's showing my age, maybe 12.
Me
And yeah.
too,
And
Allie. I feel you.
and I cannot deal with myself, even 6 years ago and the statuses I would write. Like it's mortifying. I'm like,
It is
as if
mortifying.
I have put that on Facebook. Like, this is wild. It's so unwise. Like, some of the God things I've put on are so ungodly. Like, I'm just like, what is going on? But what is encouraging about it is actually there's transformation that's occurred. And even though I'm not fully there, I have been on the journey, and I don't look the same. And so I encourage you, go back and look at your Facebook and your memories and just be thankful that you're not that person anymore.
Amen.
That's right. Well, ladies, our such a good conversation today. So thanks for joining us. I just realized that we were over time. So please join us next week. Who knows what we're going to talk about next week, but you'll find out soon enough. And so we're so glad to have all of you with us today. And so I hope that we all learned something. I definitely felt the Holy Spirit in that conversation. And so I think it's there's something that we can take away for all of us from that. And so we love all of you. We celebrate all of you. Be transformed and open up yourselves to the full process that he has for you, for us, all of us. And so it's an exciting journey to be on. And so we love all of you. Blessing and favor on you. And we will see you next Thursday. Bye, ladies.
Bye.